I do usually start with the match, but Barca Dafe, I don't think deserves that. So instead, we're doing another Robert Lewandowski thing to start the show today. So here's what we do know about the Robert Lewandowski. And we've been warned that I can't believe I'm saying this, but just like the Dembele, just like the Coutinho, just like every major signing for Barcelona, it's a quote unquote saga. So we've already been warned that this is going to be a week-long to month-long saga. And here's what we do know at the moment. The club have either already or will soon be, and all indications are that they soon will be, having a meeting with Bayern about the price, the asking price for Robert Lewandowski. They say, that being Bayern, that he's under contract for another year, but they also seem to emotionally support him in his endeavor to go elsewhere after his quote about trying something new was leaked, which I think clearly by Lewandowski's camp was that quote leaked. And his emotional goodbye to the Bayern fans as well does raise some eyebrows. And both of these do indicate that his camp does have some faith that they can find a way out for him. Because if there was an overwhelming chance that Bayern were going to hold on to him and to finish out his contract and then are willing to lose him for nothing, then why would he feel like he's getting to leave? Like, why would it be so emotional? You know, if there wasn't some kind of juncture coming, that's just my conspiracy there. And we have seen, though, I will add the caveat, we have seen some confusion, tears from Messi already. And just because Barca are a train wreck of a club doesn't mean other clubs can't also mishandle situations either and be a bit of an emotional train wreck for players.
Oh, I totally agree. But I mean, I think and apologies, I'm struggling to come up with kind of specific examples, but I feel like that kind of thing doesn't happen at Bayern. Like,
right, exactly.
If a player, I mean, for better or worse, if there's a falling out at the club or, you know, not even a falling out, but just whatever, a conscious decoupling or however you want to say it, you know, I feel like they get that sorted out and the club knows the player is leaving. And so it doesn't turn into this, you know, like you said, a saga, like a long acrimonious sort of he said, and all of this conjecture and everything. So I feel like the fact that it has publicly gotten to this point, and Lewandowski has sort of said, and, you know, his camp has said what they've said, and Bayern hasn't come out to emphatically refute it, or, you know, I mean, they've said the player is under contract for another year, but if anything, I feel like that's just a reminder to anyone who wants to get him that, you know, it's going to cost you a little something. But I don't feel like that's Bayern sort of throwing down the gauntlet and saying that we're going to battle to the death to keep this guy.
Right. Yeah. And I think the other confusion I have here is a lot of what big question reporters, or it's a big question that reporters even are debating, like different sources are saying different things. And that, again, what is the price? Like, what is Bayern willing to part with for Lewandowski? So, you know, this is where the confusion lies about if this signing for Barcelona, from Barcelona's perspective, is even possible, because there is two parts of it, right? Can Barca afford the 25 to 40 million euros? And those are just the reported numbers. I've also seen 60, but again, I think that came from France, from L'Equipe. So everything that is coming from Catalonia and Spain seems to say 25 to 40. And that is the transfer fee that Bayern are asking for. And Barca would also,
and that honestly, that seems like kind of the number if you had to put one on it, because just between the age and the fact that he only has a year left on his contract, but for a player of that kind of astounding quality, I mean, I think that just more or less kind of that tracks.
Well, yeah. And then the calculation for Barca in regards to that transfer fee is, can they afford
wages
signing? Well, we're going to get there, but can they afford that transfer fee signing while also staying within financial fair play?
Right.
Because remember, financial fair play, and I do laugh at this a little bit, obviously, because it's not real for some clubs and it's real for other clubs, and debatable. But can Barcelona make all their transfer signings and still fit within that parameters? Because that is based on total revenue. And to my understanding, that is based on whether and the timeline for the CVC deal, as well as for the sale of Barca Studios, which, again, we don't know what the deal for CVC is, what the final number will be. We also don't know what the timeline for selling Barca Studios is, or the number for which it will be sold.
Yeah, what it's going to fetch. Yeah.
Right. So Barcelona really doesn't properly know their revenue, which means they don't completely have a full understanding about what their number would be for financial fair play again. And that affects just the transfer fee. And now you mentioned the other part of it, and that is, can they get his signing, the wages of his signing low enough to fit him within the salary limit that we've already discussed on previous shows that will affect every transfer coming this summer, which again is why one of those big questions is, why did Barca go so hard for Kessié instead of Kamara when it seemed like Kessié was the worst fit and Kamara was a better fit? Well, indications are that Kessié's number was way, way, way lower on wages than Kamara's. And Kamara has started. And the reason why you're not hearing Kamara connect to a lot of clubs is because his agent seems to be asking a pretty high number to start. And so the reason you're only hearing him linked to, I think, Chelsea and Atletico Madrid, because they're clubs that are saying, hey, I mean, this might be our guy. This might be the one. Well, not Chelsea. Chelsea's looking at everybody, but Atletico Madrid might be saying this is our one big.
This could be their flagship. Yeah, the flagship transfer for this.
And it's a free transfer
window. Yeah, right. Yeah. Or the new arrival. Yeah, like that's this year's splurge.
Yeah. So those are the two factors in the numbers. And so, before, Emile, you get to the merits of the deal, because I think there's a little bit of discussion, but I think you and I are on the same page about that. As far as the money aspect of it, there comes a part where it's not even, is he worth it? Because I think you and I both agree that the answer is yes. I think most fans agree that the answer is yes, but it's, can Barcelona even do this? Because it's to a point where, yes, Christensen, yes, Kessié, but if they are able to get the signature of Robert Lewandowski, he is the marquee signing. Just to warn everybody, right? He would be the name. There would be no other name coming. Like, he would be the guy. And I know you can mention Rafinha, but Rafinha signing is it seems like completely reliant on Burnley on Thursday against trying to remember who. Aston Villa, and then Burnley on the weekend against Newcastle, while Leeds play Brentford. So those three results, I think that is what hangs in the balance, because there's 1 point separating them. And so Burnley need to make up that 1 point in those two matches, but they also obviously have
because I think they have a way, way better goal difference. So they have to make up that 1 point.
Correct. Well, no, Burnley, I think Leeds have the better goal difference, or either way.
I think the thing is, I think Leeds' goal difference is something like 30 worse than it's something hilariously bad. As long as Burnley end up level on points, then Leeds need to raise some cash, basically.
But then Leeds also can't beat Brentford, and that way, because that would mean to be 4 points for Burnley. So that result is like all about the Rafinha deal, and Rafinha would be quote unquote the other big signing that Barca spent more than 20 million on. But it seems like it's all coming down to the saga for Barcelona is for a 33, soon to be 34-year-old in August striker. But it's the numbers that truly matter here.
Yeah, I agree. So, I mean, I think so like you said, we'll talk about the merits of the deal, sort of the on-pitch stuff in a second. But look, when it comes to can Barca do it, I mean, I'm increasingly kind of encouraged by the fact that in this relatively short period of time, Barca have succeeded in getting back to a place where they have been able to get in transfers, or at least, a transfer like for money, and it wasn't just freebies. And so, but I don't fully understand. I understand there are machinations that are going to have to happen. Guys are going to have to leave. Wages are going to have to be shifted off of the books. And, the Coutinho deal happened, and Griezmann's going to be signed by Atleti. And, I understand all of those things kind of factor in longer term. I don't know what the maneuverings are behind the curtain that dictate whether or not Barca can or cannot do this, because I don't know how low Lewandowski's wages get before he feels like he's not being taken advantage of, but Barca can make it work. Because one thing, it's cool. Yeah. Like my lifelong dream has been to play for Barca, but he's not going to do the Dani Alves. So, you have to assume he's going to get a healthy wage. So, I mean, look, the fact that this thing has gone as far down the road, and I understand it's all rumor mill and conjecture at this point, but the fact that we're as far down this road as we are without a large contingent of, pundits and journalists and whatnot, just screaming from the mountaintops that you guys are crazy, this isn't even possible, leads me to believe that there is some roadmap to where this is possible. The only question that I have is, So I think, in a vacuum, I mean, not even in a vacuum, I think I would love to have Lewandowski, but I think the allocation of resources, in terms of wages and transfers, where, and I know, they're working on bringing in Christensen and stuff like that, but the defense needs a little something. And at this point, the attack, I mean, I think you and I, the last time we spoke, we talked about how if everyone is healthy and available and, whoever can stick around does, it's already a crowded ecosystem there. And I don't imagine you bring in Lewandowski as a rotation striker. Like, I don't think he's cool with playing every other game or every third game. So, I mean, at what point are we to believe that Lewandowski is going to take a gargantuan wage cut and be happy being, one of this cavalcade of 8 attackers? So those are my questions, is what does this whole thing look like if it is pulled off?
Well, I think, firstly, when it comes to what that transfer policy would be for the summer, I think people are kind of throwing around Lewandowski and Rafinha and Koulibaly, actually, as well as and Kessié, and saying, it's that fivesome, right? And are there any surprises as a Grimaldo? I would say start to pick your names, right? Maybe 2 of 5, not right.
I think it's way more reasonable.
Because and then Koulibaly is the one who I've said, while he is good enough, not even good enough, but certainly he comes in as an instant starter center back. And the health of PK really matters there. But Barca also are going to have to, put a lot of money into PK. And I think when it comes to center back position, Barcelona should go cheaper and they should go a bit younger if they were to do that. But I don't even think that this next season is the one where they're going to have the funds to do that. I think they're just going to have to trust Christensen to be the free transfer, the stopgap for that position for the next season. And what Lewandowski does for you, to answer your question, he's the instant starter. He's the instant forward. And I think I know it's a 3-year deal, and he'll be turning 37 when the deal ends that August. So it'll expire in June. He turns 37 that August. And looking at his numbers and the shape that he is in and the form that he is in and the amount of time he's on the field, 50 goals in 46 games, 34 and 35 games. Sports is a business and it gets a little cutthroat at times, but if that deal is available for Barcelona and they can afford it and they don't put themselves in jeopardy in the future, you make the deal, even at the expense of Aubameyang and Memphis. And it's crazy to say that Lewandowski is more of a future move than Aubameyang, both guys over 30 and Aubameyang younger. But you do make that deal because Lewandowski so raises your ceiling that it's not even the commercial stuff. It's not, again, we always talk about the jersey. It's not about jersey sales or anything like that. It's not about tapping into the Polish market and the German speaking market. That's not what it's about. It's about when you win trophies. And I mean, I can tell you firsthand, I promise, when it comes to this pod, when it comes to the YouTube channel, when it comes to even the the Barcelona podcast store, right? When Barca is doing well, then people are just more excited. There is just money changing hands, and that is how it works. And Lewandowski, if he were to sign immediately, even though Mbappe is going to Real Madrid, and that's pretty much confirmed as of today, that even that front three of Vinny Jr., Benzema, and Mbappe, sorry, Rodrigo, even though you're in the best form of your life.
I know.
But anyway, I'd love to take Rodrigo off their hands, like truly. But anyway, but while that Vinny Jr., Benzema, Mbappe is a terrifying front three, instantly, if Ansu stays healthy and you have a front three, and who knows about Dembele, but even an Ansu, Lewandowski plus, and then fill in, who is that other one? Certainly that'll be a question. If it was Dembele, a Dembele, Ansu, and Lewandowski front three is just as good. I promise, it's just as good as Benzema and Vinny Jr. and Mbappe.
I'm absolutely inclined to agree. And I mean, I guess my questions aren't even about the sort of the merits of bringing Lewandowski in. It's just more so, and I know there will be moves made, and, like when I hear the Lewandowski stuff, I assume Aubameyang is gone.
Well, he only has 1 year left, and apparently, but they did backload that salary deal. It's the same thing with Lewandowski. Like if they backload that deal where he makes his most in the 37 year, I believe that's just around the same time when Pedri and Ansu's renewals are going to be at their highest marks as well. So, I mean, we know that Barca keeps doing this. I mean, all the big clubs do it. Hey, we're going to kick the can down the road. We're definitely going to be a winning team. We're going to win the Champions League in 2025. And we're going to have a new stadium that 15,000 more people are going to come to every game. We're going to be winning trophies, and there's going to be 95, 100,000 people in the Camp Nou every match. And Barca are banking on that. That's what they're banking on. It's a risk in the future. But as you said, like, it is a compliment to the fact that Barca went from, 55 million for Ferran Torres, but it was 55 million between the summer and the January transfer window for one player. And we'll do him for the game. We'll get to that in a second. But, that was the one move they had, right? And now the summertime, let's say they have another 55 to 60 to spend on 2 to 3 players, plus those free transfers, for them to wiggle their way out of that and look for the summer or next January when maybe they'll have 80 million more to spend for 1 to 2 more players. Just to be able to afford anybody is something. And to get a guy like Lewandowski, even though, all these other clubs are racing for the next big striker, and Barca are like, well, we just need a striker, and we also have Ansu, so maybe he is our future striker anyway.
When it's also, I mean, he is a striker, but he is, even at 34, I mean, what is the lowest he ranks among strikers in club football in the world? I mean, he's top. That's what I mean. I was going to say top 3 at worst.
It's him and Benzema right now, because you can say Erling Haaland, but Erling Haaland scored 21 goals in the Bundesliga, and Robert Lewandowski scored 34. So, that's a whole Memphis to buy and be American Aubameyang.
No, exactly. Yeah. And I think, like, the thing with him, it's like you said, he's durable. He's always on the pitch. His form seems to never waver. Like, he's just he's this rock of not just like ultra competence, but like this rock that is also just throws off greatness regularly. And so, so even if you sign him for 3 years, I wouldn't even actually be nervous about that. I mean, if anything, if any kind of age-related decline started to come in, I mean, I suppose I'd worry about it maybe in year 3, but I'd have no apprehension about signing him for the 2 years, because like you said, he does raise your ceiling. And with the other talent that's on the roster now, I mean, you are now looking like, if not a threat to win the Champions League, you now look like a player in the Champions League. There's no more of this getting bounced in the group stage or, stuff like that. Like, you should, habitually just be in the the last 8 at worst of the Champions League, barring any horrific draws. And like, he does that for you. He's that kind of player. He's transformative in a way that a lot of ultra talented players just simply aren't. Like, they're just very good as part of an ensemble.